have to figure out what's in it for them. So you have to ask questions, right? Like if you're talking to people and they're interested in your opportunity, there's a reason they are, and you have to figure out what's most important to them. So somebody might say, I want to be a co-founder of a company. So poof, you may get a co-founder. Or somebody might say, I want to be, employee number one at a company. I want to get a big chunk of equity. Okay, so I know equity is important. So you just take it from there and you go and figure out what would be compelling enough to somebody to join you as a co-founder or employee or whatever the function might be. So I guess the other thing I'd tell you is that no matter what you're doing, whether you're a developer starting a company or you're not, or you're like a marketing guru, you have got to figure out how to sell. Number one, because as Mackenzie just brought up, you're gonna have to be selling people on your idea. And some of that might just be wielding a vision and talking big about stuff, but at some point you're gonna have to deliver too. So you can't just be selling fresh air to people, you have to be selling stuff that's actually tangible. But at some point you've gotta figure out what it takes to sell and convince people to come alongside you, join you, whatnot. It's a good question. Anybody else?
When shit gets real, or when stuff's starting to go wrong, what's the best way to maintain a laser focus and just not get too overwhelmed?
So, I guess the way I can answer that question is if you have to pay attention to what matters, right? When stuff starts going wrong, obviously it's like having a fire in your house. Immediately, if you're oh, there's a fire in my house, but I'm taping this television show and gosh, I really don't want to miss it, so I need to make sure I need to record that program, I need to TiVo it, or oh gosh, I need to get my, none of that shit matters in the moment, right? So part of this is you have to figure out what really matters, and I'll give you an example. So, I think of an example from squash. I haven't had shit get that real yet, thankfully. But I think it's longevity, I can tell you a good story. I've been in meetings where we're sitting around with other executives at the company saying, we got one payroll left. We got one payroll left. And then after that, we gotta let 90% of the company go if we don't finish raising this bridge round or whatever in the next week. I've been in several meetings like that. And anybody remember Cylindra? That freaking disaster? Yeah, so I took over running sales that month. That was the worst timing in history. Started running a solar company. So I took over running sales the month Cylindra went out of business, filed for bankruptcy. And the financial markets also were terrible for solar, right? As soon as that happened, nobody wanted to give a penny to anybody at the solar company. And we basically had to go with almost no money for an entire year. And what I try to focus on with my team is guess what? If we don't hit our numbers, we may not have a job in a month. If we don't figure this out, we're not going to have a job in 6 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever. I never told them how close we really were because I think people were just panicked and left. I only had one person quit during that time because I sort of brought everybody together and said, listen, there's only one way we're going to get out of this and save this company is if we keep hitting our numbers and drive this price of our sale down to a point where investors are going to think this is a good opportunity. And that's how we managed to do that. So I guess all that to say, to answer your question is you got to figure out what really matters. And on a submarine, when we had a fire or a flood, I was lucky enough never to have any flooding when I was on board, because that's terrible, but we did have a couple fires. First thing you got to figure out how to do is get to a safe depth, put the fire out, and then that's all you're focused on. So, but as an entrepreneur, the worst thing you can do is start panicking and freaking out and getting emotional. You got to get into your zen state of nothing is as bad as it seems, even when it's really bad. And when you're going through really shitty times as an entrepreneur, somebody's been in a worse spot. So have that in the back of your mind and just figure out how to get out and what matters the most. But also maintain the illusion of you know what you're doing. So part of it is not bullshitting, but you can't freak out. If you got employees and you start freaking out, they're going to run away from your company because they're going to get scared, as most people would. So that was the one thing I think we did well at Longevity is I didn't let anybody on my team know that it was as bad as it was. I don't know if that really answered the question or not, but any other questions? Gotta be more questions. Questions about the Navy? Or other non-fun related stuff?
So did you do your 5-year? Did you do another?
Yeah, I did about almost 7.
Okay.
Yeah. It's tough for me to leave Hawaii.
Okay. Where'd you let's see? Where'd you get stationed? Or wait, not
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, Mackenzie and I were neighbors and didn't know it. I lived probably like 2 minutes away from where
So funny.
she grew up for a few years, and was on a fast attack submarine out there. It's long been decommissioned, and I did a short tour out there and then I got out. So,
What are the best organizational strategies or daily routines that you either learned from the military or use in every day?
ironically, the best organization strategy I learned from that woman over there. She's a planner. And I think you got to figure out how to like plan your day and like stick to something. So one of the things that's helped me a ton is just planning the day before. As silly and simple as that sounds, like plan the night before, like plan your whole day out by almost a minute, like by maybe half-hour blocks. So like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and that's probably number one. I think you gotta set some short-term goals in terms of how you're gonna manage your time. I'm really, ironically, not good at managing time. Even though I was in the military, I'm supposed to be really disciplined and all that stuff. I'm not at all. Although my personality test showed that I look at other people who are undisciplined and I'm just like, what the hell are you doing? Which is kind of funny, but I took this personality test when I was at Singevity, and my mentor, pseudo business partner, looked at it and he goes, okay, so basically your room is disgusting at home, but like when you go into somebody else's room and it's a mess, you're like, hey, what the hell is this? And I was like, that's pretty much it. So yeah, I'm not very well organized or structured. I need somebody who like, she balances me out pretty well, because she's very structured and organized and a big planner, and I am a total shit show when it comes to that stuff. So yeah, find a girlfriend or find a partner who's good at planning. That's my answer.
Do you think like being in the military helped you like develop tenacity to start companies and stick with it?
That's a good question. I'm not your typical entrepreneur. I watched some of the other speakers. They're like young guys, or at least 2 of them I saw were like 20 somethings. They've been running companies since they were like in college. I was not that person. I didn't even know I could run a company. I didn't know that was even something I could do until I was in the Navy. So I'm sort of a late bloomer in terms of being an entrepreneur. I think the thing that's motivated me the most is that I hated my job in the military so much that I was like, I want the furthest thing from this, I want. And I was like doing something on my own time, on my own terms. And I've had at least enough success as an employee to be able to get to that point. So ironically, you don't even have to get there running a company. There's people out there who've been employees at very successful companies who've made tons of money, and they go do whatever the hell they want afterwards. I was fortunate enough to at least get part of the way there doing that. But the thing it did give me is that, and the thing that I've noticed is that, like stuff gets, like something that would be stressful to most people, to me is like, and I've experienced, I don't know how many friends die at this point, like more than a handful of guys I've known, gals gals too, just die for all kinds of reasons, military, non-military. I've lost parents, I've lost like all kinds of things. I've watched all kinds of crazy things happen. I'm sure some of you have experienced trauma and you just learn like perspective, right? It's like as bad as things are going, it's just not that bad. Some people have it way, way worse, and I think just it helps me keep a cool head about like when shit doesn't go right. I get pissed, but like I'm not like, it doesn't crush me. And that when I feel like things the most, when they're the hardest and when they're the most stressful. So, hence going to the Naval Academy, that was a dumb decision. That was what happens when you're 17, you make bad decisions. And you don't know what college is all about. Any other questions?
I feel like we hear stories about some successful entrepreneurs who are kind of like weirdos in their personal life, and then other ones who are really disciplined, have like a routine in their personal life. They go to sleep at a certain time, they work at a certain time, whatever it is. Do you think that you're on the one spectrum, so how does it help you?
Whew. Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not somebody that's like, I mean, I read all about these entrepreneurs who are waking up at 4 in the morning, going to bed at 2. I'm not one of those people. Sometimes I haven't set an alarm in 2 years. I just like wake up when I wake up, and I go to sleep when I want to go to sleep. And but there's certain hours of the day when
Was there anything you do in your personal